Hello, and welcome back to the Ramble On podcast. This is episode 3. I'm your host, your sole host today, Ryan. Hunter's not here with me for this episode. I have something that I want to talk about and go over. He was more than welcome to join me on this episode. We could talk about other things as well. But I think we agreed, and he kind of said that, no, you can go alone on this one. So what I'm going to be talking about today is my experience with slip and grip syndrome, which is why I had surgery and everything like that. I know, I actually had a hard time coming to the conclusion on wanting to, actually doing this episode. It took me a while to think about because I wasn't sure if I wanted to make it, because the way that I think is because of my anxiety probably is what causes it. When I'm talking about anything remotely regarding myself or my situation or my thought process or anything like that, I automatically feel like I'm being selfish or everything has to be all about me. Like I seem very greedy and, conceited. That's a good word for it. But I need to realize that that's not the case. And, I had a really hard time with this, just going through this for about a year and a half is how long I experienced this, and I had no idea it existed. I had no idea what was happening. I had no idea what was going on. So I'm not saying we're famous or this podcast gets huge amounts of views or anything like that. I know it doesn't, but for the very slim chance that someone out there could hear this and could help them on their journey with this, kind of discovering what is happening, and that way they could get healed and they could recover from this as fast as possible. I want to take that chance. So that's really what I'm doing this for, and also to kind of just to explain everything, because I literally didn't tell anyone that I was going through this except for one friend, which I actually told them on an accident, my family, and then someone who's extremely special to me. That's literally the only people I told, because I never wanted to seem like I was drawing attention to myself or that I was being, oh, poor me, you know what I mean? That's just how I think. That's just how my brain works. So I kind of just wanted to talk about it because it literally consumed a year and a half of my life. The pain randomly showed up one day, early November of 2019, and I just got it fixed and settled April 15th of 2021. So that's a very long time to be dealing with this. And basically what it is one day I just felt this weird pain in my rib, and it just felt like something wasn't quite in place or where it should be. Now I know that sounds crazy, and I know this is going to sound crazy too, but the way I described it was a clicking motion where I felt like I had to, shift back and forth or maneuver my body in slight movement ways as to where I felt like I was clicking something back in place. But even when I did that, it only helped the pain go away for maybe a second or a couple seconds. And then it would come right back, and it was an immediate feeling. I felt like I had to do that every second, constantly throughout the day, 24/7 for a year and a half. It didn't start out that strong, but honestly, it's been so long, I can't remember exactly how it felt when it started, but I do know it was a clicking sensation. I don't know if sensation is the right word. Sensation? Oh, I fucking forgot to shut my notifications off. Well, let me do that now. But yes, where I was, I don't exactly remember how it started, quite down to the details, but it was a clicking feeling, and it was a pain that was absolutely constant. And we had no idea what was going on. I waited a little while, hopefully it would fade, and then it just kind of got worse. And it was only on one side at first. It started only on my right side. So I feel like that's important to note too, because my doctor did say that it's usually only one side. It's very rare for it to be both sides. This is very rare in itself. But after a few months, I don't remember when the second side started, which I wish I did remember, but it was definitely only a couple months, 4 months or 3 months or something like that. And then the left side, pardon me for stumbling on my words, started as well. So then it was both sides. Constantly felt like I had to be moving my torso in a way that I was clicking this bone or this ligament or whatever it was back into place. I just felt like that's the only way I could describe it. I felt like something was rubbing against something else and that it needed to be clicked back in place. Like if you were to pop your shoulder back in if it was dislocated. I mean, I don't know how that feels, but just popping something back in place is what I'm correlating here. And it was so odd. It's not like the strongest pain in the world. It's not like cramps. It's not like, I'm not saying that's the strongest pain in the world, but I'm just thinking of like stomach pain or something. It's not like a stomach pain. It's just like a pain that it's a constant clicking and something's constantly rubbing against each other. It caused me shortness of breath. It was hard for me to run because I had the hard time breathing when I was running because I felt like something was pushing against something and causing me like to have labored breathing, and I had to take a lot of deep breaths. Sometimes it would come in really strong and I wouldn't even be able to talk because of how many times and how hard I had to push something back into place. Sometimes it was so hard to get it, and I would literally be like gasping and then have to stop talking. But like put like my finger up like mid conversation, be like hold on, but like just put my finger up to insinuate like hold on a second and like try to move my body in a way to click whatever it is that is clicking back into place so that I could breathe normally and I could communicate actually. I know it sounds really dramatic that like, oh, I couldn't talk. I'm not saying I could never talk, but it would just happen randomly, like mid conversation or things like that. And it would come to the point where I'd be like, it just bothered little things in life. I know I could have definitely lived with this, but it's such a nuisance to live with. Like it would be hard for me to work out because, like I said, shortness of breath. Sometimes I feel like I wouldn't be breathing properly, or I would get that feeling of where something wouldn't click, or it's just hard to be having to constantly click something back in place while you're doing jumping jacks or crunches, especially ab exercises, or standing up straight, especially because then everything is just kind of there and it's not like if you're hunched over, it's still there. But I feel like, I don't know, it was a little bit easier to kind of ignore if I'm like mid crunch or something like that. But I couldn't go for walks normally because even just like walking would really affect me, and it would, I'd have to do that constant clicking over and over again of trying to just make myself comfortable. Pardon me again for slurring my words. But I just wasn't comfortable. It was a constant state of discomfort and pain and something that I had to control to kind of just be comfortable and be able to do normal things. Like I said, going for long walks was difficult. I would do it, but it was just so difficult and painful. And it would really psych me out because I would have a hard time doing things. If I were to bend over, it would hurt, or if I were to bend down, rather, it would hurt, and it would, I would feel like I'm getting poked by something and things like that. So it was definitely, pardon me, constant. It was always there. And I went to my pediatrician because at the time I was still under 18. And I was talking, I mentioned it. They had no idea what to do. They're kind of like, oh, just wait to see if it goes away. I mentioned it again a couple months later. I saw some doctor. I don't even remember who it was. I've seen multiple doctors for this. I ended up seeing an orthopedic sometime in like November of last year, which finally recommended maybe this could be surgery. I'm actually getting the timeline confused because I talked to my therapist about it sometime mid last year, I want to say, or early last year. And then we started looking into it, or she started looking into it, and then my mom and I started looking into it and trying to figure something out. And it was determined, we were convinced, rather, that it was slipping rib syndrome. I had all of the symptoms. We don't know how it started, but I had all of the symptoms, almost every single one. And I was like, that makes so much sense. That literally sounds, and it said, like, my mom even asked me, what do you think? Like, how does it feel to you? So I could describe it so that she's not listing symptoms and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds like it. I literally listed word for word 3 of the symptoms, and then like 2 of the other ones wasn't word for word, but we pieced it together and it was basically what I was saying. And yeah, so we were convinced that's what it was. Even my therapist, we told her about it. Well, I told her about it. She looked over it and everything, and she was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. She even found a story from another girl, a young girl like me, who experienced it, and it was described quite similarly to myself. And so we mentioned that to my orthopedic, and she thought I was kind of crazy. It was kind of not the best experience with her. And then she did refer me to a surgeon, though, just to like go over things and see about things. And we mentioned it to him, and he said how incredibly rare it was, and especially for my age. But ultimately we were able to not convince him, because he did diagnose me with this. But I mean by convincing him is he literally was able to feel the clicking. Like if you put your hand on my rib cage, you are able to feel the clicking. Sometimes I could even hear. I doubt other people could, because it's my body. It's internally like me. That's probably why I was able to hear. I doubt other people could. But I would just be hugging someone. Like my mom has said, like if I hugged her, she would be able to feel it, because it's a constant thing that I was constantly doing. It would become unconscious to me. Like I didn't realize I was doing it sometimes. Like because it just became the normal. It was my normal. So I would just be doing it constantly without even realizing I was doing it sometimes. And then so someone was like, "Oh, did you just do the thing with your ribs? Did it just happen?" or something like that? And I was like, "Yeah, that was what it was." And then they're like, "Oh my God," and they like freak out about it. Like, that's terrible. And it was, but hearing the words like, "Oh no, you're not crazy. There's definitely something going on," even though it wasn't a full diagnosis yet, hearing "you're not crazy, this is something that is real and is actually happening to your body" from the surgeon, like, I almost wanted to cry. I know that sounds so dramatic, but I had gone to so many doctors and my pediatrician, everyone was, and the orthopedic, and everyone was just like, "Yeah, I don't think this is anything. I don't know what it is, therefore it's nothing." You know what I mean? And it's just like, I know something's going on with my body. Obviously, I can feel it. I can hear it. It's causing me pain. It's causing me discomfort. It's making me uncomfortable. All these things. I know something is going on with my body. And everyone is invalidating me, saying that, "Oh, it's nothing. There's nothing going on. Well, you just have to deal with it." And I didn't want to deal with it anymore. I had dealt with this for literally a year and a half. This is how long I dealt with this. And that's a long time to some people. That's not a long time to other people. But that's a long freaking time. And it literally labored things that I was doing. Some days I just wouldn't want to get out of bed because the pain was so bad. Or like I just felt so gross about myself. And that on top of so many other things, it just really contradicted. And I struggled with this, not physically, but mentally. It was in my head and it was bothering me, and I felt crazy, and I felt like no one knows what's going on, so I felt hopeless, like I was gonna have to deal with this forever. And I know I could sound dramatic throughout this whole thing, but it's really just complicated in a way, and consuming. It was consuming me, and I didn't want to deal with that, you know? I mean, no one does, but we finally got the diagnosis from a thoracic surgeon in, I think it was like February 17th. Happy birthday to my friend who has that, or February 18th, of 2021. And then it took a little bit of time to schedule a surgery, and then when I had the surgery, I literally found out like a week before I was having it. So it was like, oh, like April 8th, oh yeah, you're gonna have the surgery next week. And I was like, huh? So it did, I mean, even though I knew I was gonna have surgery, it did happen pretty fast, and I was like, I wasn't nervous, because from day one, I was like, slice me up, baby, stab me if you have to, I don't care, get rid of this. Dice me into pieces, get rid of this problem. Like, I was literally excited in, like, August when we found out, like, that we were convinced it was slipping rib syndrome. I was like, dice me open, baby, let's get this over with, I just want to feel better. But then it started to get closer and closer, and I was starting to get really nervous. I have only been, they put me out, I don't know if they use anesthesia, but they put me out only once, and that was for an endoscopy, or an endoscopy, I don't know how to pronounce it. And everything was fine, but that was like 30 minutes. I didn't know how long the surgery was going to take. I think it took like 2 hours or something. I don't remember. I'd actually have to ask my mom, because the surgery was delayed, and then they got a call, and I was asleep for a while, of course. But I was nervous. I had anxiety attacks about it, and I was crying, and I was just really scared, because I was just in my head, like, even saying it now, what if it doesn't work, scares me. It scares me to say, because I'm afraid of jinxing something, you know, it's like, knock on wood, or stuff like that, and just, like, I don't know. It just freaks me out, because I dealt with it for so long, and it was so hard to deal with that I just want it gone, and it is gone. Thank the Lord. Truly, honestly. that it is gone and I don't have to deal with it anymore. But I was so scared. I got really anxious. I wasn't scared for so long, and then it just was like, bam, 1 week from today. And then I'm like, oh, what the fuck do I do? I'm not ready. You know what I mean? And the recovery process afterwards was, freaking me out because I would barely be able to move. I'm just like sitting down and not doing anything all day for probably weeks. I had a lot of people supporting me. And I was able to talk to people about it, even though I have a hard time reaching out to people. I've definitely gotten better with it throughout the years, but I still, it's still just that feeling of I don't want to make things about me, blah, 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 poor Ryan, you know what I'm saying. I'm sure I'm not the only one that feels like that, but believe me, when you're anxious or you're depressed or you're angry or you're upset or you just want to talk about something, just reach out. It's very important to your mental health. It'll make people trust you. It'll form, better bonds. I can't think of a word better, like a better word than better right now, but stronger bonds, more meaningful, deeper friendships or relationships or just family, family bonds and things like that. So I reached out a couple times to a couple people because I was like really, really bad, having anxiety attacks and just freaking out about it a little bit. I was crying about it for like 3 days one time. Obviously not crying for 3 days straight, but like 3 days in a row. And then I was able to hang out with someone I know for the 2 days before surgery, which made me really happy. It really helped. But then as soon as he left, I had like a couple hours before I should go to bed, and then I went down my grandmother's house and we started talking about it and probably how everything's gonna go down and everything, because a lot of people in my family have had multiple surgeries, so she's just kind of gave me the rundown on the basics of what they're gonna do, like IVs, and they're gonna go over the medications and like the anesthesia and the risks and everything. And she even told me that I might be awake while they wheel me into the operating room, and I was like, huh? No. But she told me that's completely normal. That didn't end up happening, but she told me that's completely normal and everything, and I was just like crying on her shoulder the night before, and she was like very adamant, like, if you are so scared, why don't you wait to do it with someone else? When not with someone else, but like when someone's able to go with you, rather. Because I went completely by myself, and I was like in a hospital cities away from where I live, like an hour and a half ride away from where I live, away from my family, away from like anyone I know, in a hospital that I've only been to like twice. And I was scared, but when I went up there that day, I was so tired that I think I wasn't even really able to be scared. That came to a point where I was like almost falling asleep in the waiting room before they called me in to do like IV and stuff, that I was just like, okay, I'm so excited for surgery because I'll be able to sleep. But I wasn't as anxious while I was there, which is very good. And I'm very grateful for that, and I'm very proud of myself for that. And I'm very proud of myself. Like, I want to give myself props for getting through this. I know I didn't get through it alone, you know what I mean? Because I have so many supporters and people who love me and everything. But it's just like I was there physically alone. And it was creepy, but like I said, I wasn't freaking out while I was there, which is good. I took my time. I was just taking deep breaths. Honestly, just waiting for time to go by because I got there super early and they did not take me for a long time. And I was just kind of chilling, not freaking out. And then, they go over like the anesthesia risks, and I'm meeting like 4 doctors, and they put the Johnny on, and you got an IV in you and everything like that. It was funny too because the doctor who put my IV in, I'm looking down at my arm. He said, "Oh, don't look." And he was like, "Wait, do you prefer to look?" And I was like, "Yeah, I usually do. It's like it makes it easier for me. I'm not afraid of needles, but it just hurts less when I look at it for some reason." He was like, "Oh my God, you're crazy." And his name was Dr. Body, which I thought was hilarious because it made me think of Mr. Body from Clue. I was like, I'm never gonna forget your name, like the anesthesiologist. I'm never gonna forget his name because his name was Dr. Simon Body. I'm never gonna forget that name. Ever. But there was like 5 doctors, and then he was like, "Oh yeah, you can wait for a little bit. They're gonna come get you soon." I ended up watching Golden Girls for like 30 seconds before they came and got me. And then he was picking on me because I'm so young, and he's like, "You probably don't even know what that show is," and blah blah blah. But then he asked me if I wanted like something, I don't remember exactly what it was, but if I wanted something to calm my nerves and make me a little bit groggy before the anesthesia. And I said yes, just to be safe, because I do have anxiety. And I don't remember anything after that. I'm sure they gave me anesthesia, of course they did, and everything like that, but I don't remember it because that needle must have put me out. I was so tired. But yeah, so I had a bilateral rib fixation surgery. He went in and took out 2 chunks of rib cage on both sides. I don't remember exactly which rib it was. I believe it was the 10th rib. I could look over my papers, and I should have done that beforehand, but not necessarily because it's different for everyone. And yeah, I don't remember how long the surgery took. I think he said about 3.5 hours, including anesthesia and everything. So I think it was like around 2 hours ended up being, or 2.5 or something. But it went well. It was a success. I had a lot of pain after surgery. It was very hard to sit up, to go to the bathroom, like to walk and everything like that. But luckily, I came home the day after, and I honestly have this, today makes 2 weeks, the day I'm recording this, which is April 29th. Happy birthday, Kiana. It's a Thursday. And so I had my surgery exactly 2 weeks ago today. He said, I believe it takes 6 weeks to fully heal from this. And I'm feeling pretty darn good, honestly. I'm able to sit up a lot easier. It's still a little bit tricky, but I'm able to sit up a lot easier. I can bend over. I can walk around. It still hurts a little bit to walk around, but I can walk around. I can do all these things without the pain from the surgery for the most part, and without any clicking or anything. Knock on wood again. Thank you. I'm so blessed and grateful that I was able to have people around me to figure this out and to diagnose me and to treat me and to have access to this treatment and this surgery and everyone, and to have so many people around me supporting me and taking care of me and, being there for me and everything. It just really means so much to me, and I'm so happy that it's over. Naturally, you are when pain ends. And I can't wait to, do so many things. It sounds so silly, but even, slightest things, I can wear button-up shirts again. You're gonna be like, why the fuck couldn't you wear button-up shirts? But there was this, movement that I would do where I was, pushing on and, sliding my hand down my stomach to try and click it. That's another thing I tried to do sometimes, to see if it would, click something back in place. And I was doing that kind of constantly, too. So I was like, hey, I'm gonna pop a button on this shirt, and I didn't want to do that. So I didn't wear fucking button-ups for, 9 months. Or something like that. I know that's less time than I had the problem, but that was a new form of way I was trying to cope with it. It's little things like that. I can go on a walk without having to do my little movements and ways to click my body back together like I'm a fucking Lego. That's the first time I've said that, but I can just do things normally now. I mean, not quite, because my incisions are healing, and I don't care about the scars. Dude, I did that. I'm fucking healed. I feel better. I don't care about the scars that they're there. They're fucking cool. I'm not saying, yes, give me more scars, you know what I mean? But I'm saying, I healed. I battled that, and this is not fucking cancer. I battled that. God, I'm not trying to compare. I'm just saying, I got through it. And I have cool scars to prove it and prove my freaking power and how strong I am. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And proud of myself and happy that it's over and that I got through it. So just make sure you look into things when doctors tell you, no matter what it is, when doctors tell you no and you know how you feel, push. You don't have to be disrespectful, you know what I mean? But just push. Look for second opinions, look for further opinions, look for fourth, third, fifth opinions, you know what I mean? Keep looking until you find a diagnosis that you feel is fitting and correct, and you find treatment results, treatments that can help you and aid you and give you results to feeling better. Because it took me a little while to get diagnosed with IBS too. I went to 4 different doctors and no one knew what was going on with my digestive system. My digestive system is all kinds of fucked. It's like a maze, dude. It's like a maze. It's like a garbage. It's like a dumpster. It's crazy. My digestive tract is all kinds of fucked up. But keep looking until you find the right doctor who you are confident in working with, in treating you and taking care of you and making you feel better. Because this is not easy, and it's like, I mean this as in going through something you have no idea what it is and you have no idea how to cope with it and nothing really to ease the pain. Because I tried a lot of ibuprofen and Tylenol, and it was prescribed, but I mean high doses and a lot every day. I tried ice, I tried heat, I tried yoga, I tried a bunch of things. I don't even remember what else I tried. But nothing worked. I tried an ibuprofen cream, which did nothing. I even tried like CBD oil, but like, no, I don't think it was CBD. It was something. It was some kind of cream infused with it, and then you rub on like your abdomen or your ribs or wherever it's hurting, really. That did not work either. So you really have to look and, I mean, try things as long as they're not harmful. Try a lot of different methods on whatever it is, to aid your pain or ease your pain and get rid of it. Keep trying things. Keep looking as hard and as far as you have to find someone to treat you confidently and like they're certain that this is what it is and they are convinced and they know. Do not settle for a maybe diagnosis. I know, believe me, I know desperate times call for desperate measures, and you can get desperate big time when you want to feel better. But you have to make sure that you are confident in what is happening and what is being done to your body. And this is like your body, or your mind or whatever it is. This is you, and this is your home, and this is where you live. And you need to take care of that with everything you possibly can and as much as you possibly can, because it's not something to play around with. It's very important, and it's something incredibly important you have to take care of and do for yourself. And I feel like I'm just going on and on a lot here, but do what you can. And never stop trying and never stop looking until you are satisfied and confident and have a plan in order and how to treat yourself and get treated by a doctor or a surgeon or psychiatrist, whatever it is for you. Never stop looking and never, don't give up. I sound like John Cena, but do not give up. Because you will find something. Believe me, I thought I was long gone, done and over with. Nothing's gonna help me. This is gonna be my life forever. And I started imagining things that's gonna happen 10 years from now in my life, and all these things that are gonna be so uncomfortable, that I'm not gonna be able to do, or that it's just gonna be very uncomfortable and painful to do and just such a hassle because, oh, my ribs hurt, right? No. It's over. It's healed. I feel good. God bless. Amen. For real. Geez, man, it's over. I keep saying that, and I know I sound really, really preachy, but it's because I'm getting into it, and I haven't really gotten into the full story with anyone because it's all been so gradual. But it's done. It's over with. I am free. And I got cool scars, and I got a cool story, and agonizing, but cool story to tell. And I got little pieces of my ribs gone. I wanted to keep them, but I could not keep my rib fragments. I make jewelry with them. But I got through it, and I didn't do it alone, but I did do it. And I'm very proud of myself for that, because that is huge. And I want to thank you all for listening to my story and my journey. I don't know if I sounded super dramatic, but thank you for listening. And I know this is a shorter podcast episode, but I don't want to go on for an hour. I don't think I have enough content to go on for an hour about myself. It's been difficult recovering because I hands-on like doing things, and having to ask other people to do things for me is really difficult for me. I feel so greedy and needy and helpless, and it's a pain. But I'm getting through it. I'm doing more. I'm wearing real clothes today instead of just really large giant shirts and pajama pants and stuff like that. I feel like a person right now. I feel like a put together person. Thank you for listening, like I said. And if you're my friend or someone who I never told about this, please don't feel like, oh, she doesn't care about me then if she didn't tell me. It's not that at all. Because I have felt like, damn, my friends are going to be upset with me because I didn't tell them. They're going to think I don't care, or they're going to think that, oh, they're not important or anything. That is not true. I just don't like talking about myself, and I would have felt very guilty and would have felt like I was attention seeking doing so. So, if you're a friend, know that I care about you a lot, and you guys are fucking phenomenal. I would list people, but I don't know if they want to be listed, but you know who you are, and I appreciate you, especially my bestest friends who I appreciate so much. This is my story. You're hearing it now. Technically, it is still from my mouth, and you did not find out from someone else, unless you already know from someone else, which I doubt, because I don't know who else would be telling you about this, but thank you for listening. Thank you for being in my life one way or another. And thank you for going on my journey with me, via this podcast story time. Next week, Hunter will be back. Do not worry a pretty little head. Hunter will be back with me, and we will be doing like that tier list thing. We're gonna be rating our favorite, like, some foods, I think. I'm not sure what food category yet, but we're going to be doing food because it's a nice broad thing. If it was music, we would clash and have a lot of different opinions and stuff. Food we will too, but, like, music would be, like, completely different. He would not know, like, anything that I listen to, and his would all be Eminem and Token and NF, which is fine because I listen to them too, but whoops, almost knocked over my cup. Woo! That would have been terrible. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Ramble on podcast this week, and thank you for coming along on my journey with me through this agonizing year and a half that I had via the story time. Next week, Hunter and I will be back together on this podcast, and you will have a fun little comedy time again, rather than listening about pain and doctors and surgery and rib cages and restrictions and all that kind of stuff. But I wanted to get this out there, like I said, to tell my story, and for people who are maybe experiencing this and they don't know that they're experiencing this, because I did not know that slipping rib syndrome existed. But thank you for listening. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever you are listening. Make sure to take care of yourselves as best as you can, and have a wonderful day. I will see you next week. Thank you.